Arknight's Endfield, game that was supposed to be hit of the year, but ended up as the biggest flop and disappointment of the year. It's half a year after its initial release, and it's celebrating their half a year anniversary. So I thought it's a nice occasion to revisit this game once again, and take a look if it's worth your time. Hello, welcome everyone! Today kind of a review of the current state of Endfield, and even though my friend told me to not say anything bad about his favorite game,
Jak naobrażasz Enfielda, to cię blokuje.
I will still probably say what I want to say, and worst case scenario, I lose my Valorant duo. I usually carry him anyway. So, Arknight's Endfield is game released on January 22nd this year, created by Studio HYPERGRYPH, who are also responsible for one of the biggest mobile gacha game, Arknights. But in order to understand why so many people are saying that Endfield is dying, we need to go back half a year ago to the very start of the game. Arknight's Endfield from the very beginning had quite a lot of expectations of what the game is supposed to be. Not fully from my own experience, cause I didn't play a lot of Arknights, but the story of OG Arknights takes a lot of heavy topics on itself, such as racism, social discrimination, xenophobia, people who are infected by HYPERGRYPH, which is incurable sickness caused by exposure to the mineral of originium, are being discriminated against. In short, plot of the game takes on a lot of heavy and hard topics to talk about. Also, the world building of the game is astonishing. As game from the same company, people were expecting a similar level, but Endfield definitely weren't like that at the start of the story. Between these two games there is big time skip, but people were expecting topics of similar importance. But it isn't what happened. Enfield's story is very safe. People who are infected by HYPERGRYPH are treated normally. It's still incurable, but meds created to slow it down are widely spread among the public. Division between fractions is also very black and white. Maybe except the one that Ardashir is from, but I might be far-fetched. Our main character is also treated with the most amount of importance and respect, without any nuance. Except Tank, who didn't know who we were. No one ever questions our position, even though the organization of Endfield was very much functional without us. The whole story was a bit generic, maybe marketing safe. Additionally, another main character who has amnesia. And I don't know how about you, but I'm tired of this. And in addition to all that, during the main story we had long segments of just tutorials for the fabrics, which were completely destroying the immersion. The fabrics itself were a huge reason for drop of players early on, cause especially at the start of the game they might feel intimidating, but I personally don't think it's that bad. Endfield put much more focus on non-combat system of endgame in comparison to other games. It was quite an innovative idea to make this a way of collecting gears and equipment for the characters, which is very well connected to the premise of the game, but we cannot deny that it was huge risk for keeping the player base. Endgame except Fabric at the start was also non-existent. The first one we got was 4 patches after the game released. If the game has combat, it's pretty obvious that people would want to test their characters out, so the lack of endgame was very much disappointing. Exploration for many also was specific. I wouldn't really call it bad by any means, but Endfield has neither the option to fly, glide or climb, which are things that most people are used to. On the whole map we can put ziplines, but let's be honest, it's more effort than results. Maybe except packet routes. But coming back to my conclusion, exploration was good, just not something that people were expecting, which definitely resulted in the people who don't want to come out of their comfort zones quitting the game. And the PT system that is mathematically better than the one in Genshin or WoWa, both in theory and practice. But people playing these games are Gamba addicts who cannot hold the 120 pulse and are complaining about the system. And I'm still mad how people perceive it like it was made by the devil itself. But those little things wouldn't really be a tragedy or any big problem or anything like that. The problem from the very beginning was that there was a lot of small things, the little annoyances that were rejecting different groups of players. Until finally it turned out that people who stayed were also just one of the smaller groups. Despite quite negative first half of the video, it's not like Endfield is a bad game. Quite the opposite actually. Developers have done amazing job with a lot of things. Beautiful graphics, astonishing animation, deleting RNG from the gear system, amazing backgrounds, pretty designs. Although I have my own nitpick with them, because some of the characters that aren't even related to each other have similar color schemes. Especially black, white and red, and black and white. It's prominent in quite a few of characters, and with such a small cast it's kinda visible. But if we're talking only about clothes, there are beautiful, They have this kind of experimental vibe in good meaning of this word. Very well fitting for kind of post-apoc vibe. Exploration puzzles were also very fun. And oh my, that voice acting with accents that have a lot of sense. For example, for Zhuang Fangi, that is representative of Wuling, you can barely hear it.
But the research lab seems largely unchanged. After some basic repairs, we should have a way forward.
And for me, for Tang Tang that do not talk with people from another regions that much, you can hear it much more.
Gotta smell quick, huh? I assume the two of you are also Enfielders since you're with Chen. Now, which will be our administrator?
I love it so much! The developers also listened to the community and decided to fix a lot of things. For the small things, they made dailies easier. Fabrics got option to enable emergency hour in which you don't lose energy, which is very helpful during the reconstructions. Also few improvements like better aim on combos or skills, but probably not a lot of you care about that, so let's go to the important stuff. Patch 1.4 is celebrating not only half a year of this game, but also the final chapter of story in Wuling. If any of you had doubts regarding the story, ending of an region should be the best indicator of how the story will progress in the future. And I have to admit, the ending was amazing! Long ago, one of the main parts of the Wuling was attacked by a rift. Thanks to the technological advancement, we finally get the chance to retake the stolen land. When the rift came to be, the civils were still living there, so we get a bit more touching story. And despite not taking as heavy topics as OG Arknights, still Survivors Guild that Arcane feels, for being one of the only people who survived it, or the necessity to let go and accept loss, like in Ling Yang or Tang Tang's story, might not be keeping us in suspense as much, but were told in such a beautiful way that we really do feel sad for the characters, thanks to which I would really call this story a success. Additionally, Endfield managed to show that they are not scared of more serious tones. The talk between Ardashin and Neferif was very much brutal and caught me very much off guard. Huge W for the devs. More often than not, gacha games feel the need to show the limited character on a kind of date with our main character to sell them. I dislike it a lot. Unfortunately, Endfield sometimes do that too, but it's not as up in your face as in some other games. Usually during the story we go with Chen and Perlika, and only sometimes we separate from them. My biggest pet peeve that I have in that is that in Endfield it sometimes feels very unnatural. It's one of the areas that I wish the game would improve. The amnesiac trope, which I'm so full of. But thankfully in this game it's pretty well written. You can very much feel that Ardash's faction is fighting for our favor, even without any violence. Our main character often reminds that losing their memory was a personal loss for them, which we actually know from 1.0, Leviathan story quest. But I'm very glad that writers did not forget about that. Our character isn't perfect, or at least they don't perceive themselves as such. 1.4 story also teased a lot for our backstory, leaving a lot of questions unanswered, and to be honest, if you after playing 1.4 story aren't sure if you like the game, then I wouldn't be sure if the game is for you, at least in the story aspect. Fabrics that were the biggest risk for the game also got a lot of changes. They added acid, few new gas, and natural improvements in the form of blueprints created by the community to build fabrics, which are being invented by the community when it grows. But if you completely hate the factory aspect of the game, there is currently no way to play without them, because they are very important to the core mechanics of the game, which I don't think it's a bad thing. It definitely makes the gameplay experience more unique, but the game is definitely not for everyone. PT system, despite a lot of hatred, also didn't change, but after some time we can take a more objective look at it. Quick reminder, the limited character is guaranteed at 120 pulls, and this PT doesn't move banner to banner, and this 6-star character we are guaranteed 1 in 80 pulls, and this PT does move from banner to banner, except the guaranteed characters at 120 pulls we can lose the 50-50 each time. A lot of people hated it and still probably do, but like I said before, it's mathematically better than the one in WoW or Genshin. We also get quite a lot of pulls, so it's not problem in this department. We also get 1 free 10 pull on each single banner, 10 additional pulls after doing 30 of them in one specific banner, and even though this 10 pull doesn't count to PT, additional gamba is additional gamba, and additional 10 pull to the next banner if you do 60 banner on the previous banner. And this 10 pull would have counted normally to PT. Realistically, most people complaining about this system are just gamba addicts who see the pull button and must do it, and this system does punish those people for doing so. Weapon banner is also controversial. In order to pull on it, you need the special currency, which you can obtain by pulling characters or by getting lucky on daily resets in shop. It's kinda annoying that if you're too lucky on character pulls, you'd not always have currency to gamble on it. But for each limited character, we get very good free-to-play options from Battle Pass, which are completely free, by the way. Funnily, these weapons sometimes are just as good as the limited ones, or even sometimes better than them. And the weapon banners also last 3 character banners. Another thing that was finally added after many begging for it. Endgame. First and foremost, very much hype contency contract, which ended up being very good. I won't go in details how it works because I did it in this video, which you can watch after that one. But the short city is the first resetting combat endgame of Endfield, in which we can choose our own debuffs. S-tier endgame! Really one of the best I have ever played. Unfortunately for this patch, it's unavailable because they need to fix some things, which is just bad. Instead of that, we got, which is just a mid endgame overall. Just a classical DPS check. When Contency Contract will be back, I will be glazing, but right now the endgames are in kind of unfortunate state. But at least having any endgame is still better than having none of them. And I really do hope that CC rotation will be every patch, not 1 in 2 patches. Cause if it's supposed to be 1 in 2 patches, then... please no. Hello, sorry for the intrusion, but if you like my video, I would be really grateful if you liked and subscribed to not miss any of my content. And you can let me know in the comments what do you think about Endfield before I share my opinion. So, Arknights Endfield is a really good game, but it's not perfect, and will never be. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that we should ignore the problems that it has, cause obviously not. But if you're still playing this game after patch 1.4 and you don't like it, but think that they might change this, change that, then I think it's kind of a wishful thinking. 1.4 is definitely the best patch that they had released so far, but you can be nearly sure that the core mechanics such as PT system or factories will never change. And if maybe some of you never played Endfield, then I highly recommend trying it. I myself spent over 100 hours in this game and I'm really satisfied with the experience. And with the substantive words of ending... Jebać marketing team. The hell had they thought with random livestream on IGN channel?